In The Dark Knight Rises, Bruce Wayne tries to make his comeback after 8 years of retirement. This is actually kind of ironic because that's about on par with the amount of years that I've spent as both a fitness coach and as a physical therapist. Quick background, I was a fitness coach for 4 years prior to getting into physical therapy school, which went on for 3 more years. And then since 2020, so the past 5 years, I've been a physical therapist during that time. So after all this time off, if Bruce Wayne came to me as his physical therapist, instead of just slapping on a magical knee brace and kicking through brick walls in the Batcave, here's how to actually get him ready to be Batman again. So if you remember that one scene from the movie, Bruce first goes to the hospital and is told the following general information by most likely an orthopedic physician. It's mentioned cartilage or lack thereof in his knees, difficulties with shoulder and elbow related function, scar tissue of the kidneys, residual concussive damage to his brain tissue, and overall general wear and tear. So if we're going by step, let's break these things down and actually what they mean. First things first, the no cartilage in the knees. A lot of times, the very familiar term people are familiar with is what's called bone on bone. For this, the no cartilage idea does not mean that there's no hope for getting back to your activity level, right? So plenty of people will come to me, whether it be after an X-ray, MRI, CT scan, what have you, of these kind of findings. Usually they're arthritic in nature, and these people still function well. From my end as a physical therapist, I'm looking at the movement selection and what's most tolerable and can we build from there, as well as the overall volume management of the movement that we're doing. Next on this list is the limited shoulder or elbow function. Now, this one, every time I've watched this movie, has always intrigued me because if we're looking at this purely off of the imaging, again, it's kind of similar to the knees. It's probably revealing some type of arthritic change. It's kind of uh, not the easiest way to fully determine elbow and shoulder function unless this most likely orthopedist had Bruce go through a basic upper body movement screen to assess motion of both the elbow as well as the shoulders. For the scar tissue on the kidneys, that's outside of my scope as a physical therapist. From a movement perspective, I can't really directly influence the kidneys. But if there is scar tissue that's found, that would be something where, okay, well, we need to talk probably with primary care, somebody, if there's further issue with the kidneys and their overall function. The residual concussive damage to the brain. I would be really interested actually here in just a little bit. We'll go after this a little more. But if there's any kind of cognitive issues in terms of memory or speaking issues, head neck motion, which again, we'll look at that here in just a moment, as well as the overall general wear and tear of the body. Again, Bruce trained for a very long time and he was Batman for a very long time. So certain times these things will have certain consequences, especially if you want to dress up as a masked vigilante and expect to go unscathed as such. It's kind of hard, especially in the wonderful doldrums of Gotham City. So yeah, so pretty much what all this means is that Bruce basically has not worked out in 8 years, and based on his prior medical history and his time spent as Batman, he's definitely gonna have some things that have added up over time. And that happens to a lot of us as well, right? So whether it be high school sports or certain physical activity or maybe lack thereof, those things can add up over time. The medical professional in that scene definitely gives his own recommendations to Bruce. I don't recommend you go heli-skiing, Mr. Wayne, is the final parting gift, if you will. And you can definitely tell the look of amazement on Bruce's face as this information is told to him. He kind of looks a little bit shocked, if you will, as all this information is being presented to him. So technically, this is that person's opinion, and that's definitely respected. However, my job as a physical therapist, if I'm talking one-on-one with Bruce, is to determine, yes, past medical and current histories, right? But also, my job ultimately is to work together to come up with a plan in order to get him back to heli skiing, or what we all know of becoming Batman again, because these are things that he wants and needs to do, and it's up to me to figure out how do we both work together to get back to those things in the most optimal way. And so ultimately, this all leads us to the very first thing I would do with Bruce as his physical therapist, which is a movement assessment. And this movement assessment is vital in this case because it allows me to perform very big picture, full body movement stuff. So pretty much everything from head to toe. I'm looking at things in a standing position. So for example, how we're able to move through the low back. So different bending, standing on one leg compared to the other, in that respect, just to see are there any side to side differences there. We'll go to sitting. So definitely looking at hip range of motion, head and neck range of motion, especially post concussion related things. Knees, absolutely for sure. Can we bend? Can we straighten? Are there any differences there? Again, for shoulder and elbow function, can we bend and straighten the elbow? Can we turn either direction? Shoulder wise, can we reach overhead, out to the sides, different directions, up and over, up and over? Are there any side to side differences? And especially, I'll be able to look at reflexes too. Again, not only post concussion, but just generally overall, what does everything look like neurologically? That tells us a lot of really solid information that gives us more info moving forward into making a good plan. So keep in mind, this movement assessment is the very first thing I'm doing for anybody coming back after years away from the gym or any injuries in general, right? So whether you're Batman or just a gamer wanting to feel strong again, this is the first step that I always take. And this will ultimately lead us into our rehab plan, which we can look at this in 3 phases or steps in this case. So phase 1 is all about restoring the baseline. So based on the movement assessment, if there's any pain or residual swelling or anything of that nature going on, that's like low hanging fruit, what we want to take care of first. With this, we can also start looking into any range of motion differences, upper, lower body, and start to include some lower level strength work, especially for the knees. So like a low level step up or a box squat or banded knee extensions, if you will. I'd also be looking at some controlled shoulder mobility movements. Again, if there's any flexibility issues there around the shoulder blade, ultimately into the elbow, those are definitely things we're addressing in this first phase. And then if we need to, we're definitely look at some balance drills for anything concussion related wise, right? So are we comfortable standing on the left leg compared to the right leg? A really cool trick I like to do is take like a 2x4 and lay it on the ground and turn it into a balance beam, kind of like from gymnastics. And that's something that as we're doing that, can we do it without holding on to anything? And can we also be looking or saying different things as we're working on the balance so that we're doing what's called dual task, which is really nice post concussion related things. Phase 2 or step 2 of this is all about building capacity. So this is where a tried and true strength program would really come into fruition here. So we'll be progressing into things like a weighted squat, whether that be a goblet squat, back squat, hip hinge movements like a deadlift or a kettlebell swing, upper body pushing and pulling. So like a bench press or an overhead press for those different push patterns. Something like a row, a lat pull down, or a pull up will be really nice for an upper body pull pattern in this case. Really, the goal that we're driving here is not only building strength, but further reducing the risk of injury via building resilience. Along with this, agility and condition 100%. You have 2 lungs and a heart last time I checked. So this would be really beneficial to put in things like different types of running, longer distance things, sprint distance type of things, jumping, fight training in this case would be a start to be incorporated as well. All of this stuff just to help sustain repeated efforts of both training, but also the nightly grind in Gotham City. And then third and final phase, which we'll call Batman ready, what we call in the physical therapy world, return to sport. So this would be things like plyometrics, so box jumps, broad jumps, single leg hops, different directions, full-on combat drills as well too. So specialized coaching with that is really where we are in this third and final phase. With again the goal of not just heli skiing, Mr. Wayne, but mainly surviving the Gotham Knights again. Especially since his main goal is to survive fighting the dude that was excommunicated by the League of Shadows and Ra's al Ghul himself. So yeah, if Bruce Wayne walked into my clinic, this is the template or the intro of how I get him back into fighting crime in the underbellies of Gotham City again, right? So now if I was his strength coach in particular, that's a whole different video, hint, hint, wink, wink, where we can peel apart a really cool Batman training program that I found in like a book or online like years ago. So if you're curious as to see what that would look like from a pure strength perspective, drop a comment below as to if you would like to see that. And if you yourself are coming back from injury, or you just feel like you've been away from the gym for quite some time, like Bruce has, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons in this case, because I'll be making more videos like this to help you get back into superhero form. And by the way, my name is Michael. Like I said at the top, I'm a fitness coach and I've been a physical therapist for 5 years now. So if you're looking to get back on your fitness journey, like I said, I'm here to help, and follow along with my channel for more info like this.